Welcome back to the Scaredy Cat Guide, my friends. My name is Jenny, and today we are talking about Mickey's Philharmagic and Disney's Magic Kingdom. If you're new here, this is the channel where we talk about theme parks and anxiety, we talk about sensory issues, and really just anything that you might want to know if you're an anxious rider like me. Now, Mickey's Philharmagic is a really sweet, very fun, very family-friendly experience. It's a really fun little show that definitely holds a special place in my heart. However, like with many of Disney's shows, we definitely have some sensory issues that we need to talk about. We have some 3D elements, some things coming right at you from the screen, and don't worry, we're going to talk about it all. So without further ado, let's dive into those details. This 4D experience contains darkness, potentially scary moments, and some extreme sensory overload. So let's start off by talking about that darkness. Now, of course, this stage show is dimly lit, but most notably, we have a few seconds of complete darkness. Now, this does not last for very long, and it's really not meant to be scary, but just be aware if you or someone in your party really doesn't like that complete darkness effect, you will encounter it on this attraction. Now, when it comes to actually scary theming, we do have a little bit here that we need to talk about. So, of course, we do have a few potentially scary elements, including some startling moments and some threatening characters. Now, of course, this is a 4D experience, and this comes with some popping champagne bottles, fireworks, and electric eels, just to name a few. Most of these characters are not outright villains or anything like that, but they definitely can appear a little bit threatening. And with all the sensory elements in the 4D experience, I could definitely see it being a little bit intimidating. So let's talk about those sensory elements. And to me, this is really the big one here. We really do have everything under the sun when it comes to sensory elements. We have flashing lights, we have smell and wind effects. We even have bubbles, smoke, and even water effects at several different points during the show. We also, of course, have very loud sound design. This is very typical when it comes to other shows in Disney World, but some of those startling moments that I mentioned before can really make this attraction a little bit of a sensory nightmare with everything else it has going for it. Again, these elements are not necessarily meant to be scary, but they are very much in your face, coming right out at you from the screen, and they are far from subtle. So when you have, for example, those wind effects, they are really right in your face, those flashing lights are really bright, and all of the other elements are just a little bit extreme feeling, at least in my opinion. Now, all that to say, this overall is a very upbeat and fun show that is certainly aimed towards a younger audience. However, with the extreme sensory elements, I can definitely say that it is not for everyone. Now, when it comes to the ride vehicles, we really have no vehicles to speak of. What we have here is a standard theater that seats around 486 guests. Of course, there are no restraints of any kind here, and despite the other 4D effects, there is no actual movement. There are no crazy maneuvers or even rumbling in the seats, nothing like that. Everything comes from right in front of you. And if you're curious where all of these crazy sensory effects are actually coming from, you can actually look at the seats right in front of you, and you'll see this little device in between the seats that has a speaker and an area for these effects to come out at you. So all of these effects are not actually coming from the screen, they're actually coming from the seats right in front of you. Now let's talk about that ride duration. Now, Mickey's Philharmagic actually clocks in at around 12 minutes, which is actually on the shorter side when it comes to other shows in Walt Disney World. Now, even though this is a short duration, this show is absolutely action-packed. They fit so many different characters and Disney stories into this little show, and it truly is a very magical experience if you can handle the sensory issues. And now that you have all the facts, let's actually go hop in line. This one usually has a pretty low wait time, which is great, so let's go do this together. You'll find the entrance to this attraction in the Fantasyland section of Magic Kingdom. Now, like with many shows, the queue to this particular attraction is incredibly straightforward. You'll just walk right into the standby line, which continues outside for just a moment before you'll find your way indoors. Now, most of the time you're in line, you will be able to enjoy this lovely AC since you will be indoors, and you may be waiting for just a moment in this little area where the line will wind back and forth. You'll see some movie posters on on the wall, and overall it's just a very basic indoor queue area. Now once you're ready to go inside, you will find yourself in this larger area, which is where you will wait to go into the actual theater. A cast member will direct you in front of one of these doors, and for me this is where I spent most of my time as I was waiting for this attraction. You've got some lovely relaxing Disney music playing in the background, and overall this is just a pretty comfortable basic space. To me it didn't feel too claustrophobic, and of course I was enjoying that AC, so I was very comfortable here. Now once the theater is ready for you, these doors will swing open towards you and a cast member will tell you to head on into the theater. Now like with many other stage shows, you will need to go all the way across the row, taking up all available seats so that you can make room for everyone else entering the theater. Now oftentimes this show does operate to capacity, which means that you will most likely be sitting right next to the party on either side of you without a seat in between. Now when you take your seats, you can put on your 3D glasses and wait for the show to begin. Now up to this point, this show has been advertised as a lovely Philharmagic from Mickey's orchestra. However, things go quickly awry as the orchestra is nowhere to be found. We find Donald Duck sleeping on the job, and he very mischievously and true to character steals the magical sorcerer's hat from Mickey. This of course results in some crazy shenanigans that will send us through many different Disney stories along the way. So first off, after Donald finds himself in this crazy storm of musical instruments, we will find ourselves in the Be Our Guest number from Beauty and the Beast. Now all of these segments are so whimsical, so very fun, and to me, very magical. But of course, these sensory effects start off right out of the gate. We have those popping champagne bottles, we have some delicious smells from the food that's dancing all around us with the cutlery and the plates. And again, although these things are not scary, they definitely are in your face and can feel a little bit intense. Now after the Be Our Guest number, we'll find ourselves in the Sorcerer's Apprentice scene from Fantasia. Now this segment is where we'll find one of those kind of threatening characters as we see a giant broom slosh a bucket of water on us, of course giving us some of those water effects. Now suddenly we'll find ourselves with Ariel as she sings Part of Your World, and Donald will even get a very shocking smooch from an electric eel. Then of course we'll catch up with Simba as he sings I Just Can't Wait to Be King and the Lion King segment. Now this one is colorful, there aren't too many sensory effects here, but of course it does have that loud sound design, and it can be just a little bit overstimulating in general. Moving right along, we'll find ourselves in the world of Coco as we catch up with Miguel, and this scene is absolutely beautiful. We do have some fireworks here and some effects that can definitely feel a little bit intense, but overall I really love this new addition to the show. After Coco, we will find Peter Pan and Tinkerbell for this very brief little segment as we head off towards Neverland. Now breaking through the clouds, we will find Jasmine and Aladdin and catch up with them as they fly on their magic carpet. Now Donald ends up on a magic carpet of his own, and this segment is pretty fast-paced. Donald ends up weaving through Agrabah, through all of these stalls and carpets and goods, and we have a lot of sensory elements in this particular section. Of course, it's all very fun, but can be intense. Now Donald will finally catch back up with Aladdin and Jasmine. He gets the sorcerer's hat back and can finally return with the orchestra in tow. Now of course Mickey is not too thrilled about his hat being stolen, but he is able to wrangle the orchestra back into shape, and we get a quick little performance of his Philharmonic. Now in true Donald fashion, he ends up thrown all the way to the back of the theater. You can turn around and actually see his little behind sticking out of the wall. This part is definitely funny, it's played for laughs, and that is where the show comes to an end. Now of course the lights will come on, you'll be able to leave the theater, and of course do not forget to drop off your 3D glasses on your way out. And there we have it. What do you think about Mickey's Philharmagic? Like I said, this is definitely a very nostalgic attraction for me, but just depending on the day, it can be just a little bit uncomfortable with all of the sensory things that it's got going for it. Now, if sensory issues are not really your thing, this is just a very fun, very family-friendly, magical experience that could be perfect for the entire family. It really just depends on everybody individually, and I would love to know what you think about this ride, so don't forget to let me know in the comments. Of course, if you liked this video and you would like to see more like it, don't forget to like, subscribe, stick around, stay a while. We would love to have you in our little community of anxious riders. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.